And we're going to start with our feet parallel and hip width apart, and holding the ends of your band and standing. Oh, I'm going to stand on my mat. I'm going to try and stand pretty much in the middle of the band. And I want just a little bit of an edge of my big toe, half of my big toe is just poking over the edge of the band. And then once I've got my feet planted, I'm going to bend my knees, take hold of the band down by your knees, but keep it quite loose. Don't wrap it around your hands or anything, because you're going to cut off your circulation, which is not ideal. So I want the band stretched out a little bit between my feet, so I'm just pushing my feet away a little bit so it's nice and flat underneath my feet. Bent my knees, I'm holding on to it loosely by my knees, and then when I stand, there's this almost not pleasant drag back down. So that's, for me to right now, that's a little bit strong, so I'm just going to ease the band off a little bit. But what I do want you to feel is that in order to stand really tall and have a lovely lengthened spine, you've got to resist against the tension on the band. So the band is making me feel like I want to collapse and just compress everything. And I want you to try and work, I want you to have to work reasonably hard to lengthen out of that position. So in order to achieve that, I'm going to lift the crown of my head up towards the ceiling. I'm going to send my tailbone down. I'm relaxing my shoulders and my arms. I'm just checking where my weight is. I was a little bit back on my heels, so I'm going to pitch forwards a little bit more, just so that I can just gently tap both heels. If this is still uncomfortable, just release the band a little bit more, and you could practically hold on to the end of it, but I'm about right where I want to be now. And then we're going to take some shoulder shrugs, so lifting the shoulders up around the ears and allowing the stretch, the tension in the band to draw those shoulders back down. I don't have to do any work, that's naturally happening. This is quite hard work, shoulders up around the ears, and then allow it to, shoulders to draw down and lift the crown of the head up in the opposite direction. Connect a little bit, inside thighs. And let's take some breathing with that as well. So let's go a breath in, your natural breathing, and a breath out as you draw those shoulder blades down. Breath in and a breath out, trying to lengthen. One more breath in and breath out. Great. I'm going to release the tension on the band a little bit, just by letting it more of it go through my hands. And now I'm going to take some shoulder rolls. So I'm still feeling a resistance in the band, but it's not really hard work. I don't want it to be too hard work. I'm also continuing to work to lengthen through the spine and to stay tall. And that's getting me very warm, almost instantly, around the back of my neck. So again, the beauty of using things like bands, any equipment really, or just the beauty of touching your body. So we're going to do both of these things here. I'm going to clasp my hands or touch my hands to the tops of my legs, which is going to ensure that my shoulders stay really still as I take my head from side to side. I'm going to close my eyes so that I'm fine-tuning my awareness, getting the most out of this stretch. I know that my hands aren't moving. The band is keeping my shoulders drawn down. There's a certain amount of resistance there. I'm going to go one more each side. I'm going to face forwards and then take my ear towards my shoulder. I'm just glancing at myself in the mirror, checking that these shoulders haven't joined in, because it's really easy for them to join in there. But I can also, then I'm going to close my eyes again, I can also feel that my arms are wanting to move up and down my legs. So a strong old stretch here. I'm going to take a half circle, turning all the way to one side, letting my chin drop down and then back up the other side. And reverse the movement. Chin down to the floor, up to the other side, really sideways on. Then I'm going to take a semicircle up towards the ceiling, thinking about the chin, drawing a big semicircle, finishing both sides with your chin completely turned to the side, maybe looking down towards that shoulder. Last one, up and over, that all feels really nice. The last one, I'm just going to finish off here. I'm letting my head hang all the way towards the floor. I haven't joined in at all with my shoulders. I'm trying to keep my spine lengthened, and then I'm just going to draw again a semicircle, but a very shallow one. Almost think of drawing a line with your chin from side to side, and I can look at the top of my yoga mat and just take that movement there. I'm not holding the head up, it's not here. I'm completely letting it relax. And you should feel some nice stretching around the back of the shoulders and the back of the neck. Brilliant. Okay, we have done all that. Let's stay here with our perfect postural position and become aware of the band and the tension around the band on the outside edge of your feet. And we're going to bend the knees completely, as much as you can. We're raising the heels. You might find here, if you're not standing on the band properly, that it will ping out from underneath your feet. So you might want to change your position. Make sure you've got all your toes, or especially the ball of your foot, on the band, and it's nice and flat underneath your feet. Bending your knees as much as possible. Remembering I can't bend too far, but go as low as you can. Those heels are down. Then I'm raising the heels. Knees, ankles, all in line. I'm thinking very much about that side, the little toe side of my feet. One more of these. What tends to happen as soon as we raise the ankles up, if I take the band away a little bit, we want to do that. Try not to let that happen. And actually when the band is here and there's that tension there, it's just heightening my awareness, which helps me to do the work. And then reversing it up to the top. Nice and strong. Think of the big toe joint being like a plumb line, a straight line, a guy rope. So loads of tension there from your big toe to your, whoops, lost concentration there, to your groin, to your pubic bone. So that makes the insteps really straight and parallel and no rolling out on those ankles. Brilliant. Okay. Let's take the band from underneath your feet. Now this is a lovely one. It's a little bit unusual. You're going to have the band nice and loose here. And this is a great one for the shoulders and the whole spine, just getting your whole body moving a little bit more. You want to sort of be like this with the band if you can. And I'm just draping it over my thumbs at the moment. The main movement is going to be to stretch your arms out. The band is going across the top of your head, and you're going to bring it down behind your back. Now, if you've got the band too tight, you're going to be like this, and it's going to be horrible on your shoulders and just feel really awkward. If you've got the band too loose, you're going to hit your head, and there's nothing going on here. So you've got to find that perfect position. And this is all the way through with the equipment. Find what works for you, combined with what I'm asking you to do with the position of the band and your hands, etc. So about here, so in order to take it up and back, I have to stretch it out a little bit, straighten it out. But hopefully, as you can see, it's just clearing my head, and that in itself is quite a nice stretch at the front of my shoulders. So if you can, with me, we're going to take the band. In fact, let's start with the band down here. So don't change where your hands are on the band. Keep them there for this whole exercise. So we're lifting up and over. And if you can, relax your arms and just relax them down by your side. Relax the grip on the band. The band is just behind my back. And we're going to add some breathing on in a moment. But let's finish off this movement. Then you're going to bring the band all the way back up to the top. In fact, let's just do that a couple of times with the breathing. So my feet are wide, insteps are parallel, knees are soft. So a breath in to prepare, and then we're going to go breath out, breath in, breath out, to go up and over. Relax, hold it here for the breath in. And as you take this breath in, I want you to think about expanding your ribs sideways into your armpits almost. And then the breath out is bringing the band up and over. For now, let's just do that twice more. Relax the band at the front. Breath in. No movement. Breath out. Hold it here. Breath in. Staying nice and tall. Breath out to come up and over. One more. Hold it here. Breath in. Focus on the ribs, nothing else. Breath out, up and over. Breath in. Breath out, up and over. We're going to stop when we do the full version at the top here. I'm just going to turn sideways. From here, we've breathed out to lift this band up above our head. We're going to take a sort of caving in roll down, and we're also breathing in. It's all very odd. So everything's going to sort of implode into your centre. As you breathe in and round down, just watch me a moment, you hang from your waist, that's your breath in. You breathe out, you straighten your legs, trying to stretch the hamstrings, doesn't matter where your body is. You soften the knees, you breathe in to roll up, make sure you're strongly putting that belly button in to unravel, and then you're ready to go again. Got all of that? Okay, so we're going to go. We're going to do the whole thing with the breath about 4 times. So breath in to prepare. Breath out. Up and over with the band. Hold it here, breath in. Breath out. Up and over, breath in. Rolling all the way down. Relax, hang from your waist, breath out. Just try and straighten your legs. Breath in, bend the knees, roll up through the spine, leave those arms and the band to hang. Then you're ready to go, breath out at the top. Hold it, breath in. Breath out, coming up and over, implode, everything's in, relax all the way down. Breath out, straighten those legs, shake the head, make sure you're nice and relaxed. Bend the knees, roll up, breath in. I think this is the 3rd one. Breath out. Breath in, plays havoc on the hair. Breath out, up and over. Breath in, rounding down. Breath out. Straighten those legs. Maybe drop the hips from side to side. Breath in, rolling up. Last one, here we go. Breath out. Breath in. Big deep breath in through the nose, breath out here, breath in, and let it go, breath out. Soft knees, breath in as you roll up through the spine. Fantastic. You're going to fold your band in half. It doesn't have to be pretty, just get it double width or half the width, double strength if you like. Reaching up, let's keep those feet wide, so shoulder width apart. I'm just going to go back a little bit. And have a little bit of stretching the band out sideways, but keep those shoulders down. So let's just take a little side stretch, so it reaches up. In fact, let's relax the band a tiny bit and just do your reaches up, so that we're encouraging just about 4 of those. Encouraging the ribcage lift off of the hips, draw the shoulders down, stretch the band apart, and take some side bends, just gently, not going too far at first. What I want you to try and achieve here is your head and arms staying in the same relationship. So what I mean by that is don't let your arms go over all the way so that one side touches your ear. Take that whole body up and over. Keep the shoulders down, keep stretching the band across. I've just got my thumb tucked underneath and I'm pushing my thumb against my forefinger to get that tension, to get that stretch in the band. I'm going to go over to that first side. I'm just going to allow the arms to hang down, the head to roll down. I'm going to lift up and look underneath to come up the other side and then up to the top, over to the other side. Stretching the band out, then relax it. Arms are down. Swap the hand which is on top. This one stays on my thigh, this one goes underneath, on top so I can look underneath, that's the right words, and then we're up to the top. One more time each side, over to the side, relax down, stretch it out to come back up, and again, up and over, relax the head, just roll it down and round, and then coming up the other side. Good job. So, we have done our stretches out, we've done our mobilising of the spine. We are going into into first position, and you're going to have the band single as a single again, and you want it quite wide, but let's bring our feet into first position first. So from the parallel position, from a parallel narrow position, lifting the heels up, bringing the heels together, looking down, checking that you're in your perfect turned out position, because that turnout has happened up here, remember. And then we're just going to plant the legs like that, going to keep the legs like that. Look down, make sure you're evenly turned out. Feel a little bit of activation around the gluteal fold, pelvic floor is lifted, squeeze those lower legs together, whether that's your heels. In fact, let's just take that, so just put your hands on your hips for a moment. Keep your heels together or your lower legs together and just take a little lift and lower. So just waking up that pelvic floor, waking up, switching on those turnout muscles. Essentially the legs are going to stay in this position. Pelvis is going to stay nice and forwards, facing forwards. And then from here, a little bit like this, but you're going to have your arms forwards. In fact, I'm going to turn sideways to show you a moment. So my arms are quite in front of me. My hands are opposite my shoulders, but I've got this dip in the band. I'm going to open my arms out to the side, keeping my elbows soft until the band makes contact across my chest here. But my elbows are still bent. So I've gone from there to there. There to there. It's not there to there because the band hasn't come across my chest, it hasn't gone straightened out. It's not there either, I haven't straightened out my elbows. So slightly odd positioning. And again, I've only got my thumbs. The band is draped over my thumbs, nice and relaxed. I'm stretching it out. I'm making this contact with my chest. My elbows are on top, shoulders are drawn down in my back. I have to watch personally that I don't go into gymnast mode, so I'm going to send my tailbone down. Think about those heels, lower legs squeezing together, and then we're going to take thoracic rotation, upper body rotation, keeping the arms at the same angle, keeping that same level of contact across my chest. It's not a very big movement. If you've done this with me before, it's really subtle. There's no great big movement going on. Imagine that band has actually turned into a straight, like a dowel. It can't bend, it can't change shape. You might hopefully be feeling some work around the shoulders, around the shoulder blades in the back. I'm keeping my head in line, I'm keeping my head in line with my buttons, if you like, going down the centre of my torso. Also just in line with my spine. One more each side, and I'm actively pushing the hip forwards that I'm turning towards. But to be honest, holding your legs in first position keeps them fairly straight and still anyway. Ooh, so a little relax there and just let that go. Release those heels and yeah, just take a shoulder roll if that feels right. In fact, I'm going to just drop the band and I'm just going to do some rotations. So just let that all go a little bit. Allow the ankles, hips, shoulders to go. Head is nice and upright. Great. Okay, so staying in a turned out position with the legs, but we're going to take the feet nice and wide now and come into a second position as opposed to a first position where we just were. So toes are out to the corners, the legs are turned out up here though. Our main movement with the legs is going to be bending the knees. You don't have to bend the knees, but if you can, Try and keep the spine really upright, knees are going over the toes, and then you're straightening. There and straightening. You can do this exercise with the legs staying straight, but I'd like you to try and bend them if you can. So we're using the band. Different feeling again this time. So I'm sort of making like a roof over my head, if you like. So before I had quite a lot of band draped in the middle, I had a semicircle in the middle. Now I've got a straight line across the top. I'm only over my thumbs, draping it over my thumbs. I'm stretching the band out a little bit. And again, you're going to just need to find where the band needs to be for you. I'm going to bend my arms and bring my arms down into like a 90-degree angle. The band is going to just touch the top of my head lightly, but I want you to imagine that you've got like lead weights on your elbows. So try not to be here. Try and almost push those elbows forwards. So legs are wide, legs are turned out in the hip socket, only the thumbs draping over, but I'm making a bit of contact. I want to also stretch the band, my hands apart a little bit to create that tension. And I'm just drawing, elbows down. Where I really want you to try and focus is here, like you're doing a lat pull down. So big muscles in your back around here. Imagine that's doing the work of pulling down. It's quite a subtle movement. So we're here, we're going to add to this, let's just do a couple more of those. So draw those elbows down and reach up. If you're not feeling any work around your shoulder blades in the back, in your back, check that you've stretched the band apart a little bit. If you're here, this is nothing. It's not doing anything. There's no point in holding the band. You've got to stretch apart a little bit with your hands, connect, fire up the muscles, fire up your brain to suddenly be aware of just working in a slightly different way. So there. Okay, so we're going to go all the way down without bending our knees. Knees are going over the toes, arms are up here. I'm strongly drawing my shoulder blades down in my back. As I come up and straighten my legs, I'm lowering the band, lowering those elbows down. Band is going to the top of my head. And then I'm lengthening away. And here. Let's take a breath out because I want those ribs to draw down. Breath in. Breath out. Breath in. All hard work on the shoulders. Breath out. Breath in. Breath out. Breath in. We're going to add on to this if you can. We're going to go breath out. Raise both heels, draw the band down, breath in, push the heels down, take the arms up, breath out, breath in. And again, breath out, breath in, breath out, breath in. Two more. I've just noticed the lovely static on my hair, which is fabulous. Two more. I think I said two more, now I just added one on. Breath out. An alternative if it's getting too much on those knees is to do the whole thing here, straight legs, lower, and now I've lost where I am now. Let's make this the last one, bending your knees if you can, raise those heels, push those heels down, coming all the way up, and we're there. Good job. Get that hair back under control. Fabulous. Okay. Bit of one leg stand work. We are going to wrap your foot up in the band. So find the end of your band. I'm going to stand on one leg. I'm going to put my foot in the middle and make sure that your toes are in the band as well. I've got like half an inch of band just over the top of my big toe. So fully in it, make sure it's nice and flat, and then cross your ends of the band over. Bend your knees again. So take hold of the band roughly by that front knee, and then pull, no, that's a bit too much actually, pull your elbows back and your hands, glue your hands to your hips, your hip bones at the front, and think about that tissue box. Shoulders and hips are absolutely square. And then I can just move this leg around. In fact, we're going to do this movement in a moment, but I want you to do some footwork first. I'm going to go slightly sideways. Have a look at your standing leg. I want your standing leg to be, in fact, if you actually want to stand, once you've got the band set up, stand with your, this is weird, stand with your feet completely together. You can let that go. Stand with your feet completely together, instead of touching, place the hands on the hips, then release that leg. So we're pretty much, feet are all almost together. I'm just going to turn slightly sideways. I'm going to set myself up there again. So releasing that leg. So I've got quite a lot of tension in the band. My standing leg is nice and straight. I'm lifting up, body's square, tissue box is all in place. And I want you to just work through that foot that's in the band. So flexing your foot as much as you can, extending the ankle, and then pointing your toes, and then toes and ankle, ankle, toes, toes, ankle, ankle, toes, toes, ankle, rolling, sort of rolling through the foot. It's hard work. It's hard work on my arms. Triceps are getting a nice little workout here actually. All that static, that isometric contraction, working hard but staying still. I'm thinking about lifting my spine up nice and tall, standing leg, starting to complain a little bit, lifting the rib cage off of the hips, a couple more, just going to face forwards. We're here, watching that you haven't hitched or changed the level of your hips. Good, and then finishing off, just keep the foot relaxed actually. Draw a figure of 8. The figure of 8 is lying on its side. Your hands are staying glued to your hips. This is hard work. But what we're doing is we're using that lovely stretch and give in the band. Change direction of your figure of 8. Ooh, a little bit, a little bit dodgy figure of 8 second time round. The figure of 8, so it's lying on its side. It's not really a tennis ball, it's a bit bigger than a tennis ball. My circles. And the point where I'm crossing those circles over is right opposite this hip, if that makes sense. Whew, okay, and enough. Brilliant. Your arms a bit of a shake. That's tough work on the shoulders, isn't it? But good stamina for the upper body positioning. Swap the feet over. So remember for the toes especially, you've got to have ½ an inch over. So your foot's completely inside the band. Make sure it's nice and flat. Cross the ends over. Just come a little bit tighter in. Then get your feet completely together. In fact, I'm going to go this way. I'm going to go this way actually. Feet completely together. Standing up nice and tall. Pin those elbows back. Watch that the shoulders aren't here. Pin the elbows back. Draw the rib cage down. Stand up as tall as possible. Release the leg so the leg is just hovering off the floor. Have roughly the same amount of tension in the band as you did last time round. Standing leg is nice and straight. And then I'm going ankle, toes, toes, ankle. Nothing else is moving in that leg. So good for strengthening the feet. We've got all this other stuff going on as well. We're working on our one leg balance. We're working on our overall alignment, strength of the shoulders, backs of the arms, upright, tall posture. No collapsing in on that standing ankle. The articulation through the foot. My big toe is wanting to escape out of the band there. So another thing to think about with this, do a couple more, is no curly feet. So that's a curly foot. Make sure it's really straight. The inside of your foot is really straight. So the inside edge, so nothing's changed from here. That instep is straight. Look down, check it out. But then lift your head again. Brilliant. I'm going to face forwards again. So from here, taking your figure of 8. So the leg is moving around in the hip socket, but it's using that support, almost a sling of the band. Standing leg is working extra hard now that you're adding this slightly odd wobbling about. Challenging the standing leg's ability to keep the pelvis still. Changing direction. Always the second side for this sort of thing. Second direction is a little bit more awkward. Keeping your tissue box square to the front. Oh, shoulders are starting to hurt now. Woo. And relax. Cool. Well done. That was hard work. Okay. Brilliant. Let's go down to the floor now. So everything's going to be on the floor. You're going to need your band. And I'm just going to move the monitor down a little bit so that you can see. Okay. So starting with sitting nice and upright on the floor with the band in over your feet. So I call this go-kart position. So you want the band to be nice and flat and pretty much in the middle. You're going to flex your feet and again have the toes just inside the top of the band. So go-kart position because you're sitting there really nice and upright. The hands are by the knees, your spine is in its natural curves, and it feels to me like you're driving a go-kart a little bit. I've taken hold of the band by my knees. There's a reasonable amount of tension here, and just see how it goes. From here, I'm going to keep my lower arm from my elbow to my hand parallel to the floor, and I'm just going to pull back, and that's actually a bit too strong. So I don't want any slack here, but not as strong as I just had it. So every time you set yourself up in each new exercise, you just need to test how is this. If it's physically impossible to move your limbs, then you've got it way too much tension. And if there's loads of slack and it's really easy, then you haven't got enough. It's just you've got to work it out each time. So I'm by my knees. I'm going to keep my elbows pinned back. I'm going to try and take them back as far as I can without changing the front of the shoulder. Again, hard work on the backs of the shoulder blade, around the back, and just lengthen forwards. And again, breath out as I pin elbows back and tuck them in. Breath in as I release, trying to grow taller. I'm just going to take my feet out a little bit more. So you might want to sit on a block or something here, or a book, or something nice and firm as opposed to a nice spongy cushion. Sitting right up on those sit bones. Let's take the elbows back this time and just hold. Just focus on staying tall. Pinning those elbows back. Thinking about muscles around the shoulder blades, thinking about the back of the head and neck, lengthening backwards to that top corner, up to the ceiling. And breathe. And then release. Fantastic. Okay, we're going to move on from this position into your roll-ups using the band as an assist. I'm just going to move a little bit away from the wall. And what I would like you to ultimately do with this is try not to be too reliant on the band. But it's not a problem if you are reliant on the band. Just we're ultimately aiming for the full advanced version, if you like. But that might not be where you're at today. But again, the whole thing is about experimenting about how much tension you're using in the band. So I'm in my go-kart position. I've bent my legs a little bit more. I've got a whole load of tension on the band here. So I've got my hands by my knees, and I'm not wrapping round the band, I'm just holding on to it and then putting my thumbs on top. Taking a C curve, so we're tucking under with that pelvis, really rounding the back. And then try and keep my legs are coming in a little bit with me. I want your arms and your legs to stay bent if you can. So I'm aiming to put my waistband into the mat, and then I'm going to come back up again. As I come back up, I'm going to push my legs away a little bit, and the band will help you roll up until your shoulders are over your hips, and then sit tall. It's going to shuffle forwards a little bit. So same thing again. So tilting the pelvis, let the band go with you, let this give happen. Try not to do that, then you haven't got any support. Keep the arms bent, keep the legs bent. I'm aiming my waistband behind me, my lower back is in the mat, feels quite comfortable now, and then I'm just pushing those legs away, staying scooped in that tummy, sitting up really nice and tall. That might be as far as you would like to go today, but if you can, I'm going to continue, and as I continue, I'm going to try and lessen my support from the band and my reliance on it, and then the full movement is to go all the way down to the floor. So the easiest version of this, where you would all start, is to get that waistband into the mat and then elbows down, and then the head comes down. Do not straighten the arms or the legs at any stage at the beginning. Tuck the chin in. Start to just push your legs away here to help you up. Stay rounded, 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 and sit tall. I'm going to go a little bit less. So basically each time I do it, my brain is getting more and more used to the sequence, the articulation in the spine, the muscles that it needs to switch on. I'm going to go even less reliance on the band. I've loosened it off quite a lot. Now my legs are a little bit straighter. I'm letting my arms go a little bit, so I'm not relying on it as much. Head is down, chin is tucked in. I'm going to go even less this time. We're aiming for straight legs. So the band is almost slack now. I'm just holding on to it. Because I'm keeping my legs bent and my heels are coming with me a little bit, it's absolutely fine. Keeping my arms bent, head is down, tuck the chin in, push those legs away. I'm going to go all the way to straight legs this time, but I'm still going to rely on that band a little bit. So tucking under, arms are bent, legs are straight, because this gives me the tension. I can use the tension. That's the hardest bit, getting that lower back into the mat. Don't relax when you get down there. Tuck the chin in. Oh, just need a little bit of more of a... In fact, as you come up here, I should pull my elbows back more to sit tall. I'm going to try one more. Here we go. Round in the back. I'm trying not to be too reliant on the band. Tuck the chin in. Bringing my elbows back just helps me to stay scooped and then sit tall at the top. Good job, well done. Okay, taking that band away. So that was a seated row and an assisted roll up with the band. Let's come down onto our backs, folding the band in half. going to take a little abdominal section, ribcage closure with the band, and then some nice leg stretches. So, all the way down, again, there's that movement that should be relatively easy now. All the way down. Come into your base position. The band is just folded in half. Feet and knees are hip width apart. Spine in its natural curves. In fact, let's bring the feet and knees together and let's squeeze them together a little bit all the way through this. So thinking about your midline squeeze, activating pelvic floor and inside thighs a little bit. Let's have the band just up to the ceiling actually. Again, stretch it out just a little bit. Keep it taut. And I've only got my thumbs and my forefinger for tension. And then let's just take some ribcage closure. So breath out as you go back. Breath in as you return. In fact, touch your thighs. Breath out. Breath in. So apart from the arms moving, there's no change in that torso. Take an extra squeeze of the knees as you breathe out. Release the squeeze a little bit when you breathe in. Breath out. Breath in. So everything staying to where it should be is mainly these ribs. No ribs flaring. That's why this is called ribcage closure. And I can't comfortably touch my hands to the floor. I don't need to. They're just hovering off a little bit. I feel like if I let that go, if I let my hands touch, I'm going to release my ribs too much. So I want to keep them straight and still. Let's add to this movement. So breath out. Arms go back. Lift the band up above your head. Take an abdominal curl. Squeeze the knees together. Reach the band forwards and to touch your thighs. Slide the shoulders down a little bit. And then we're lowering the head down. Breath in. Breath out. Breath in. Breath out. Breath in. Lower the head. Arms only, breath out. Arms only, breath in. Abdominal curl, breath out. Check that lower back. Check those ribs, no change. Breath in, lower the head down, arms are up. Arms only, breath out. Rib cage down. Breath in, just the arms. Keep that stretch from side to side. Breath out, coming up. Hold it there, squeeze those knees together. Breath in to lower. We're going to add a single leg extension times 4. Breath out. Breath in. Arms are up. As you come up, keep those knees squeezing together. Reach your shoulder blades along the floor towards your feet. Knees squeezing together. Just extend that lower leg. Put the foot down. Head down. Arms up. Breath in. 3 more of those. Alternate the leg each time. Breath out, breath in, breath out, breath in. 2 more. Breath out, breath in, breath out, in, breath out. And keep those knees squeezing together. Extend the lower leg. Let's do 1 more of those each side. Breath out, breath in, and then finishing off, breath out. This is the last single with 4 double legs if you can. Otherwise, try a double and go back to singles if it doesn't suit you. Breath in, arms are up, legs stay still, thighs stay still, lower legs extend. It feels quite nice. Lower back is in place. Breath in, head is down. Breath out. 3 more of those if you can. Breath in. Set everything. Breath out. Extend those legs. Feet are together. Feet are pointed. Breath in and out. Last 2. Breath in. Breath out. Breath in. Head down. Breath out. Last 1. And extend. Breath in and breath out. Fantastic. Let's open up the legs to hip width apart. Feet and knees hip width apart. The band is across your hips. Just quite relaxed, still double band, hold on to it, just be across your hips. Drive those hips up for a nice straight bridge, and actively, I'm not pulling down on the band, I'm not working really hard, I'm just conscious of it because it's touching my hips, that I want to push my hips up even more. So really switch the buttocks on, try and open up at the front of those hips. Then take the band as you stretch it apart a little bit, up and over. Easier to get to the floor now without any bother. And then we're going to reverse peel down, trying to keep arms where they are, rib cage down, return to neutral even. Band comes up and over, back down to your hips. Here we go. Breath out, breath in. Hold it here, breath out, all the way, breath in, and 2 more, 3 more of those, breath out, push down through the heels, breath in, hold it, and then breath out, reverse peel. It should feel like a really nice stretch all at the front of the body. Breath in, up and over, 2 more. Breath out. Get those hips up really high. Connect that rib cage down. Be relaxed in that upper body. Arms over. Breath in. Hold it there. Breath out. Watch that you aren't rolling over on those feet as I tend to do. Last one. Breath out. Breath in. Breath out. Release to neutral. Breath in, coming all the way over. Good job. We are going to take, yes. Yeah, let's just do straight leg circles there. So sit yourself off a moment. We're going to do some stretching of the leg, but for this I would like you to, actually no, we can put put your foot in the middle of the band. Make sure your toes aren't poking out the end. Foot in the middle of the band, make sure the band is nice and flat, and if you're in the middle so you haven't got too much more over one side than the other. Cross the ends of the band over and roll back down again. So make sure you've wrapped your foot around the band by crossing the ends over. So I can't actually see my toes. I've sort of made a bit of a parcel there. My other leg is in my base position. My elbows are going down onto the floor with your hands above your elbows. So your arms are basically at a right angle to the floor. Try and then fix your arms and your hands, because that's the stable point. Then what we're going to do is we're going to use this lovely stretch in the band. And again, if you can't straighten your leg out here, because it's physically impossible, you've got the band too tight. Make sure you don't wrap it around your hands, elbows are down. I've just released that a little bit. Just do a couple of these, but be quite accurate. So we could just loll, we could let those arms roll around, everything. My lower back is changing, it's quite nice, but totally ineffective. We want to be accurate, we want to use this lovely new connection, and this, like I said before, the connection with your brain primarily, with all of these different sensory things going on. So keep the arms really fixed, like they're rigid. My hands are above my elbows, they're not tucked in, they're at right angles. And then I'm only allowing this knee to come in as far as my hip will hinge without that lower back collapsing. I'm keeping my pelvis in neutral. I'm going to extend out, and in fact, let's go for that pointing of the foot again. Toes, peel the toes back, flex the foot, draw in, only to here. Very easy to do this. Try and keep it nice and accurate. Straighten the leg, push through that heel, then extend the ankle, then point those toes. Suddenly this has become quite hard work. Toes, heel or ankle, and draw in. Let's have two more. Straighten the leg, ankle, toes, toes, ankle, bend the knee, one more. Straighten. I'm working quite hard in my upper body. Ankle, toes, toes, ankle, bend the knee in. Now I'm going to straighten and then just take this nice lift up towards the ceiling. This is a little bit more relaxed. I'm sort of taking a cycle, a circular motion with that foot. I'm allowing my lower back to just release a little bit, but trying not let it go all over the place. I'm really working quite hard to keep my hands still actually. Very tempting to let the hands and everything all join in. Keep those arms fixed. That's your brace. That's your bracket. That's your support. Good. Now let's take that leg all the way up to the ceiling and let's straighten out the other leg. Now we're looking at just having a nice stretch. So I've straightened out the other leg along the floor and flexed that foot. I've still got opposite, I've crossed over the band and I'm still holding on here. I'm now going to just go a little bit further up the band so that I've got more to play with here. And I'm just going to take some very relaxed circles in that hip. Keeping, again, my hands are staying still. My arms are staying still. There's quite a lot of stretch on the band, but this is the most amazing thing for your hip joint. All of this lovely mobilising, but you've got this support. You're not having to hold your leg up in the air with everything gripping on. If your hamstrings are really tight, you can do a couple of things. You can slightly bend the knee, but try and still move the leg as one unit, so keep it in the same shape, or just take the leg a little bit further, a little bit lower. Keep it straight. So think about your thigh bones circling around in that hip socket. Hopefully that should feel quite nice. And then I'm just going to finish off taking, in fact I'm going to go both ends of the band together, both hands together, up close to my foot, my ankle, and I'm going to use the give in the band to really stretch that leg in. And breathe. And then I'm just going to push the ball of the foot up towards the ceiling and let that heel push up. So I'm getting a really strong stretch all through my calf, the back of my knee, hamstrings. This is all going on. Brilliant. Okay, well done. So it's relatively easy to swap your legs over, uncross the band, take your other foot up, put it in the band, just making sure that it's nice and flat. Hopefully you should be there, so make sure you've covered up your toes in the band. Cross over, place the leg that you've just worked back into your base position. Not loads of tension, but this, so we're back to right angles with our arms, a right angle with this knee, and we're pushing away. Let's just do this a couple of times on its own first. Thinking about both sides of your torso being level. Remember when that knee comes in, that lower back wants to collapse and tuck under. Don't let it happen. The knee might come in past 90, but my pelvis shape hasn't changed. I'm going to add on the leg extension. So through the heel, I'm really driving through the heel now. Then I'm extending the ankle and then toes on the end. Pulling the toes back, flexing the foot at the ankle and drawing in. And again. Extend the leg, ankle, toes, toes, ankle, bend that knee. 3 more. Straight leg, ankle, toes, toes, ankle. Same as when we were standing up, no curly feet. I've got a load of tension on this band. It's hard work on the arms. Not sure how many that was, maybe 1 more. Good, I'm going to keep the foot fairly relaxed and take a big cycle. Make sure the hands stay where they are, arms stay in that fixed position. Building up towards this hamstring stretch, which is where we're going next. Let's straighten that other leg. Just going to move my hands a little bit more up the band, so the tension is more. Relaxed foot, but a straight leg. The other leg is, the foot is flexed because I want my pelvis to stay still. And just as I go around that, I'm taking that circle. It's not a huge, great big circle. I'm just thinking of mobilising. And this feels a little bit, my hips feel a little bit sore today. Maybe it's what we did in class yesterday. It's all feeling a little bit tight and a bit, just a bit muscle sore. Not too bad, it feels like I've worked, which is good. So 5 or 6 in each direction, quite relaxed. And then going for the more of the big hamstring stretch. I'm going to ease that leg in. I'm going to go through those toes again and that heel. I'm sort of alternating, so my elbows have come off the floor now because I'm just using the stretch in the bands. I'm keeping my hands and my arms still. Alternating between really trying to push that heel up, so I'm getting stretch at the backs of the legs, and just hinging the leg a little bit from the hip socket, so to get that stretch right at the top of your hamstrings. Great job. Well done, everyone. Oh, lovely. Okay, let's finish off with a nice seated rotation. So just sit on one end of your band so that you're ensuring that it doesn't go anywhere, because we're going to take a side bend as well. So make sure one end of your band is nice and flat. Get your buttocks right on it so you know it's not going anywhere. Ideally, if you can, cross your legs. I don't want to go this way, it doesn't actually matter. No, I'm going to, so hold on. Yeah, if you've got the most of your band on the left hand side, put your right leg in front. There is a method to my madness. And then you're going to take your right hand across, and it's wrapped around my hip, but I'm going to sort of take my palm up and put my thumb over the top. And your goal is to sit as upright as possible. Again, you could sit on a block, you could sit on a chair maybe for this, if that was a bit more comfortable. You could take a long frog. Ideally, I'd like the legs crossed if you can. Sitting as upright as you can. And then I want the band to have a reasonable amount of tension. I'm just using my thumb against my forefinger again to create the band staying still. My hand is opposite my elbow. My elbow is tucked into my side. And then we're just going to take this rotation in the shoulder socket. It really doesn't go very far, as always with these subtle movements. It will go far if you let your elbow move around or push back. Keep it quite forwards of your side seam. And then I would like you to add your upper body rotation. So I'm turning towards my right knee, but you might be on the other side to me. And I'm just going to take my left hand onto that knee and help me rotate round a little bit more, and then come back to the centre. Rotate, everything is going around with it. And then I'm going to add on a couple more times with this. Now I'm turning my head a bit more. And I'm just using this hand on this leg to help me go a tiny bit more. Sitting really upright. Well done. Keep the band there. Take the long length of the band in on the side that it's on. So for me, it's on my left side. I'm going to reach up to the ceiling with that length of the band, and just until it's nice and straight, put my other hand down on the side and just take a nice side bend and come upright. And again, I'm reaching this hand a little bit further away. So I'm taking a side bend in my side seam of my back, trying not to twist, and also trying not to lift that butt cheek up, apart from the fact that the band might ping out. Good, all on the other side. Swapping the band over. So I'm just sitting on the end of it, making sure it's nice and flat. Swapping my legs over. Always good to not to sit in your natural cross-legged side all the time. It's good to change them both over. One will feel much more comfortable than the other though. So I've just stretched the band around a little bit, taken out the slack, elbow tucked in, slightly forwards of my side seam. My hand is opposite my elbow at a 90-degree angle, sitting up as tall as possible, just rotating in that shoulder. So for me, this is much easier on this side. My right shoulder is my dodgy shoulder. Really didn't like that last exercise, but a good one to do. So we're trying to isolate shoulder joint. About 5 of those. And then I'm going to add my rotation in my upper body as well. Coming back to the centre, rotating out and back to the centre. That elbow is staying glued to my side. I'm going to use this hand, a couple more, and I'm going to turn my head a bit more now. I'm trying to stay nice and evenly weighted on my sit bones. I want to twist and I want to lean, but I'm trying to, making this the last one, keep my spine really upright, just getting that lovely rotation in the spine. Last thing, extending that band all the way up to the ceiling for a lovely side stretch on the other side. So if you can, get the band nice and flat, and I'm almost pushing my elbow into the band. So you've got that nice feedback. Making sure it's nice and flat. The head goes over, trying not to lift that opposite hip sit bone up. In fact, I'm actively pushing it down a bit more now, which gives me a much better stretch. Whew, well done. Good job. I'm just going to come up onto all fours and have a little bit of a wiggle about. Great job. Thank you for joining me. Class B with the band this week. Will be something different each week. Hopefully something that you do have at home. Band work is great, so it's worth investing in one if you haven't already got one. I will look forward to seeing you soon. We've got Pilates C tomorrow at midday, which is a slower class with a bit more technique. Pure Pilates class. Maybe see you then. Take care.